Chris, hey, we're recording in progress, Chris. So,
Apparently.
so for those of you out there that are watching this week's episode of Movies and Minutes, we have my friend Chris Gooding on.
What up,
Um,
G?
I'm incredibly blessed because I have a lot of very intelligent friends, a lot of people that use their brains. They think they share a lot of the same opinions, but at the same time, they're different people, and that's something that I get to. I'm not going to use the word exploit because that sounds bad, but I get to share with the rest of the world via these podcasts.
Just as
So,
an FYI for the audience, I am
yeah.
not one of those people that is intelligent. So stay tuned.
Oh boy. So, well, okay. So, Mr. Intelligent, you got an easy week because you're only getting 2 movies. Usually, we're hitting 3. In fact, Ethan, who I had on last week, we even went a little farther because I'd only asked him to watch 3 trailers, and then we ended up talking about a 4th movie. But you know what? That's the thing. Sometimes conversations just go other places, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Chris, let me ask you just right off the front, and I haven't done this in any of the other episodes yet, and maybe I probably should have, but what kind of movies do you like? What type of movies, get you excited?
Ooh, well, I'm gonna be it kind of cliche and
Be cliche.
kind of cliche, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a surprise or not, but I really like stoner comedies like Super Troopers and
I don't know that it's a cliche. And in fact, most people would probably call them something else, and you might be, navigating new ground here, calling them that. I think a lot of those same movies would probably fall under rom-com. I mean, not all, but some.
I guess like to a certain extent because they do have certain like
There's
romantic.
there's always the guy going for the girl. I don't remember Super
Yeah.
Troopers, but there was a girl, right? When he was going to that other police station, he was definitely hitting on a girl.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Super Troopers 2, same
They're like,
thing. I mean,
oh, okay. Did they get together? I don't even remember.
yeah, they did actually. It was
So
actually kind of sweet.
they were still together in number 2.
Yes. Spoilers.
Two was weird for me because I wasn't one of those people that grew up with Super Troopers. Like I caught it later in life, and I was like, "This is funny," but like, I didn't have like the years of nostalgia to go with it. So I don't
Okay.
know if 2 did the same things for me it did for other people, but I still like 1 more than 2. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, so stoner comedies. Now, what else? What else do you think what other movies would that entail?
Oh shit. There's or sorry. Is this okay? I'm swearing aloud.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um
Too
there's
late.
yeah, right. There's Accepted. That's a great one.
Oh, I love that with Justin Long. Yeah.
In all honesty, I consider The Hangover to be a stoner comedy.
Yeah,
That's just
basically.
personal opinion. I'm actually not a fan of The Hangover. I fucking hate it.
I never really got into them either. I saw the first one and I was like, the concept was cool, but it kind of like they probably could have just done that one and then not gone back for more.
Yeah, or like maybe a second one, like because that one was okay. It wasn't great, but like
Yeah.
leave it there.
Well, I think with Hollywood, if you do 2, they're like, why not 3? Like trilogies.
Yeah, I mean
It's a
that's
thing.
fair.
It's a trope, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's another stoner comedy, which I've always loved, but as a not stoner, I think I just love it because it's a comedy. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yes.
That's like the quintessential stoner comedy because like they
Go
they
ahead.
get
Go ahead.
boys and all they want is some White Castle.
Yeah, I mean that's like the true blue stoner dream right there. Like, give me some White Castle. Except now, I feel like nowadays it's probably like Chick-fil-A or Popeyes. You know?
Yeah, we've got Popeyes locally now, and it's becoming less like, it's not as shiny and new as it was before we had it.
Yeah.
So Chick-fil-A still, I guess. That's another one. I think I've had Chick-fil-A once, and like I don't know how much you know about Chick-fil-A. They're like super like ultra Christian, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that part on its face doesn't bother me, but I went in and I ordered food there, and I mean, like, I could pass for a white guy if you don't know my name. but they ask you your name so they could put it on the order so they can call your name when it's ready. And I gave them my name, and then when we get to the girl at the handoff, she looks at my bag and then back at me and then looks at my bag and then she's like, "This is for you." Like she didn't even want to try, and I was like, "Okay, all right." But the food was good from what I remember. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm very hit or miss with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like in general, like just little segue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hit or miss with most fast foods. Like, I don't really care for them.
Yeah.
Like, I do get a hankering once in a rare while. Give me
Mm-hmm.
a double cheeseburger from Burger King because those things slap. But otherwise, take it or leave it.
Slap. What are you, 12?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Did you not know that?
I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, I aged like milk.
I mean, you don't look however old you are. That's a safe guess, right? Like if I don't say a number.
I don't know if it's flattering or not.
It's flattering. Will it get me somewhere?
Maybe. We'll talk after.
The after show. Woo! You guys are gonna miss out.
The
So
after hours with Nabil and Chris.
I mean, I'm podcasts are like bands, man. There's no limit to how many you can start.
Yeah, I
One
mean, it has franchise potential.
one of these days, I gotta get our cousin on here. I haven't reached out to him about this yet, though. But we'll cross that bridge one of these days.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he's a big movie guy. I'll get him one of these days. But so we got 2 movies to talk about this week. It was kind of an uneventful week for movie releases, and maybe if I keep doing this stuff, I'll slowly learn the trends. Like, some things like I'm starting to pick up on, like around Halloween or not even Halloween, around like Valentine's, they drop a ton of horror movies. It's just because people want to go out with their honeys and get the jump scares going.
Yeah.
Right about now you're starting to see a little bit more like religious faith-based stuff because we're creeping closer to like Easter, and so. But I'm not really sure what what middle of March is signifying, because we've got a slasher horror film to talk about and we've got a dinosaur action film to talk about. Oops. Oh, the lights went out on me. Oh. Yeah. So dinosaur action. I think that's the one I want to talk about first. 65. So I gave you trailers for both 65 and Stream 6. So what did that do for you?
Could you repeat the last thing you said? Your audio cut for me.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
But you can hear me now.
I can hear you now, yes.
Fair enough. So I said 65. What did that one do for you?
So
What do you think that's about?
So I actually, this is one that I've been keeping my eye on. I do actually want to see this one. I'm kind of like with a lot of things. I'm hit or miss with going to the theater. I'm more of a stay-at-home guy, so it's a duck shoot. So 65 honestly looks really good. I'm cautiously optimistic, like with all things cinema related. So to me, do you want to just dive into the meat and potatoes, or you want to beat around the bush a little bit?
Whatever you want, man. I want to know what you think this is about. Like what sort of feeling did it evoke for you when you were watching this trailer?
Okay. So like, let's start with the title. 65 million years ago. Obviously it revolves around, I can't remember the exact period without looking it up, because nerd. But I believe that's the Cretaceous period, I want to say. So it starts with, we're in space, we're on a spaceship, and all of a sudden we're on a planet. Not sure what happens. Something happens in space that causes the ship to crash land. There's only one other survivor. Pretty great premise so far. We see dinosaurs. So obviously this is on Earth at some point in 65 million years ago, as we've said. So the big thing that stood out to me was in the trailer when when Adam Driver's radioing for help. There's a comment made that this is an uncharted world. So my thoughts on this is that more likely than not, this was originally a colony ship. So maybe terraformers from whatever our home world is, or just people looking for a place to mine or something like that. You know, the usual trope. But I believe that what ends up happening is more likely than not, these two don't get rescued. We get this, it's either going to be like a really off-putting Adam and Eve kind of situation, or they do get rescued and I don't know, maybe the mothership comes in and flags the planet for potential, like, this is a garden world, we can use this, and they wipe out the dinosaurs, and then, you know, we go from there. I don't really know. Those are just my thoughts.
Not bad thoughts at all. Did it make you think that 65 million years ago there were like advanced technology based civilizations somewhere, or does it feel more like time travel? Because that's a really long time ago. I mean, like we're not even that advanced now, but I mean, I guess, you know, that could just mean we're really slow.
I mean, that's a very true statement. We are very slow. Yeah. So either option is viable. I mean, I did consider the time travel thing, but the only issue with it being time travel based is this is an uncharted world. So to me, that if it is time travel, maybe when the ship goes back in time, there's none of the usual like flagging markers to say like, hey, this is the planet. And I mean, at that point, the land masses would all look different, the oceans would look different.
Sure.
You know, it's entirely possible.
I mean, it could be like Futurama rules where, you know what I mean, like even you know, when 1,000 years passes, they find a preserved pizza place and they don't even know what the paddle's for. You know what I mean? Like it's Earth, but they don't realize it's Earth. All right. So this is the part where I kind of give you some insight into this, and I feel kind of bad because of the two movies this week. I feel like this was the weaker of the two. And again, you know, ultimately I tell people this every week. These are just my opinions. You know, I only want them to be used as a guide and not you know, gospel by any means. But so this movie, you're really not too far off with you know what your thoughts were. You know, it was like a almost like a explorer party ship, you know, akin to like Star Trek, kind of like they were trying to map out, you know, parts of the universe that they didn't know. But it is set 65 million years ago, and they are like that advanced at that time, which like, okay, all right, cool, Earth, we're the slope heads, I gotcha. And they do crash, and the ship is like broken up into several pieces, like in the atmosphere by meteors. You know what I mean? They're flying through and they just get like swarmed by like comets and meteors, and it's just like they crash. And Adam Driver, who was partly what sold this movie for me, because I kind of like seeing him in things other than as Kylo Ren. Not that he's bad. I just, you know, those character actors, I kind of want to know if they've got chops for other things, and he's done good work in other things. So that's part of the appeal for this movie. But definitely no Adam or Eve situation, for God's sakes, thank God, because the other survivors, like 10,
I wasn't sure on the age on that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
that's
a little girl.
okay.
Um, so ultimately, like once he finds her, they kind of determine that the part of the ship that they've got can't get them off the planet. The part of the ship that's like 15 kilometers away has an escape pod that they can get off world and kind of try to get home on. And it's essentially like you've got to get from point A to point B and survive all the dinosaur problems you're going to run into. They do not ever tell you whether it's the Cretaceous period or not. I mean, that's just going to be like us as people figuring out things because they don't know. I mean, like they're not familiar with Earth, so and I'm sure they wouldn't. They've got their own names for the chronology of time at that point, but um, there was not as much action as you would think this movie would have. It was
Hmm.
it kind of it was only a 93-minute film. Like it's not that long. So you kind of want to get right to it, and they kind of don't get right to it. There's a lot of unnecessary backstory and exposition for a film that should be Adam Driver going toe to toe with dinosaurs. Not to say that that doesn't happen at all, but I kind of think that they had an opportunity and they didn't take it as far as they could have.
Hmm.
I mean I won't spoil everything, especially because you said this is something that you want to see. Suffice it to say though, it's just it probably is something you could stand to wait on. I don't think that it's. I mean, seeing dinosaurs fighting, it always looks cooler on the big screen, but like, given that there's not as much of that as we want, I I actually kind of want to take a bet with you on this, and this is more just a thing I want to start doing on some of these. Is have you noticed how frequently things are hitting like streaming nowadays, like very very quickly?
Yeah, relatively quickly. Yeah.
So, for example, the first horror movie I saw this year was called Megan, and it was on Vudu to buy within 3 weeks of seeing it in the theater.
Oh wow.
How long do you think it would take you to have the option to see 65? Do you think? We're at today
Hmm.
is the 12th. It came out on the 10th.
Came out on the 10th.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would depend on how well it does at the box office. I mean, if it's
Here's the thing, Megan's still in the theater. Like even it's only got like a showing or two a day, but like they're still raking in money from that movie. It's doing good.
yeah.
So, but it was still on streaming within 3 weeks for those folks that don't want to go to the theater. Excuse me.
Well, so I'm gonna say probably about the same, about 3 to 4 weeks, I'd say.
So, first week of April.
Roundabouts, yeah.
All
We'll
right.
say just to be safe, like around April 10th.
Mm-hmm. Okay, April 10th. All right. If it's out by April 10th, I'll and you haven't seen it yet, I'll let you know. I'll be like, hey, it's there. You don't gotta go see it now. It's at home. Rent it for $5. So that was 65. Again, not by any stretch of the imagination terrible. I gave it a 3 out of 5. In my like
Okay.
written review for it. Just feels like we could have gotten some more like action, like Jurassic Park movies. We're fighting dinos left and right through the whole damn thing. So, but
That's not what it was about, Nabil. Come on.
come on, do you not know what a popcorn movie is? It's where you cut a hole out of the bottom of the. Oh no, wait, never mind. It's for a different podcast.
That's for the after hours show.
Woo! Scream 6. Before we get into talking about the trailer and the things like that, have you ever seen the other Scream movies? I mean, are you any kind of like horror person?
Okay, so no, I despise horror films, and here's why:
Yeah.
is I don't ever get scared, like at all. I'm the guy that I walk through the haunted house where like people are jump scaring you, and I just giggle.
Yeah.
So like they do nothing for me.
So I'm sort of in the same boat as you, but that's sort of my opposite feeling. Like I like them because of those things that you said. Like I sort of chase the high of being scared, and it hasn't happened in a very long time. So that's why I go see them in the hope that they'll get me. But it doesn't happen because I've seen too many and I'm just desensitized.
All right. Well, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to 65. So Jurassic Park, in relation, is the original horror films. You cannot change my mind on this. The dude getting eaten off the crapper, hands down the scariest scene of my childhood right there.
That's pretty good. I mean, like, I totally see not wanting to go to the bathroom because you're gonna get eaten up by a dinosaur.
Yeah. I actually go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I had this recurring nightmare when I was a kid of like I'd be laying in bed and I'd have like the covers pulled up to here and I'd just be looking around my room and I would just like very slowly turn my head and in my window I'd have a T-Rex eye and it would just blink once and then the roof would come off and then I'd wake up. And that was because of that scene in Jurassic Park.
I believe it. As a kid, mine the ones that were getting me as a kid were zombie movies because that's what my mom showed me first. So like I didn't want to go to cemeteries because I was always worried that like today was the day that the zombies were gonna like come out of the ground and come get me. So and then I was just like, wait a minute. As an adult, I'm like, if the zombies come out of the ground, they're like decomposed, they're broken. I could bust their asses real easy. It's the ones that are freshly turned that's another story.
True, very true.
They've got like joints and ligaments that haven't like melted yet.
Fun fact about that, and how in World War Z, people got really pissy with the whole like zombies running and sprinting and all that. So I actually really liked that concept because it changed the narrative of a zombie film. Like when a zombie, so the way that I look at it is when like in zombie literature, if like a person is freshly turned, they're still going to have all of their muscles are still going to be good, all of their ligaments, tendons, everything's going to be healthy. So there's no reason that they wouldn't be able to perform any of these activities. Right. And then like slowly over time they just deteriorate, and then you get the slower shambling,
I've always sort of hoped that would be the case too, because like if we're gonna go by logic, it shouldn't be that they're all slow or they're all fast. It's kind of just based on the person. Like you got an old guy zombie. Old guy zombies shouldn't have the power to suddenly be able to run if he hasn't been able to for years.
Yeah.
But young cheerleader zombie probably could get it.
That'd be terrifying.
Right. You'd want to let her bite you, but then you're like, oh wait, I'll die. So Scream 6, what did we think of this trailer? Despite our personal feelings on horror films, what kind of sense did you get for what this film was about?
Okay, sense for the film. I mean, quite obviously, it's about the Scream guy because I've only ever seen one Scream film in my entire life, and that was I don't know. It was like, oh Christ, I don't know. It was like 15 years ago, maybe 10 or 15.
So 2011 would have been Scream 4.
Maybe.
Because Scream 5 literally only came out last year, and then like it was so well received, they're like, okay, well let's keep this gravy train rolling. So
per usual. Yeah, I don't remember which one it was. It might have been 2 or 3. Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, so yeah, quite obviously it's this this serial killer going around in a mask, prison shanking the holy hell out of everybody that he can see.
I'm pretty sure he's got a real knife. He didn't have to work on any whittling.
Well, you don't know that, man. I mean, like maybe he improv, like he loses his knife. Oh, there's a baseball bat, or like a stick.
Stick. So none of the characters, none of the story, none of it really, none of it resonated, huh? It's not your bag, baby. Not even Jenna Ortega, who's the star of Wednesday on Netflix.
Just not my thing personally. I don't get me wrong. I respect the franchise. I respect the genre, but
yeah,
I'm a big fan of original, and like Scream 6 now, Freddy versus Jason, like just give it up.
Freddy versus Jason was great, man.
I mean, it was. I won't dispute that, but like what I'm saying is stop beating a dead horse and like have an original one, like maybe give the franchise 20 years to relax a little, like what they're doing with Harry Potter, like
so I'm gonna say this, and this is sort of weird because part of the ethos of this podcast is to either like recommend you towards or away from these newer films. But I actually think at some point, even if it's on a date or like a Netflix and chill type thing, I recommend you watch number 5, the one that came out last year. That kind of introduces you to all the characters in this one. And the reason I recommend it is because the opening sequence of number 5, it feels a lot like a new number 1. In that, like, they're trying to go back to the original, like talk to somebody on the phone thing, and the girl who gets attacked in this new one, she lived, and she's in this next in number 6 as well. She proceeds to talk about all the other types of horror and in a very meta way to what you're talking about, of like something original. She's like, oh, you sound just like the guys who were in the Stab movies, because in Scream there's a film franchise that's supposed to be their version of Scream. Like they make movies about the killers that are like in their real world, but it's called Stab instead of Scream. But like she proceeds to go on and say like things like, oh, this is so unoriginal, it's like Stab, watch some elevated horror like The Babadook or this or that, and like things that are more thought-provoking. And the entire film, number 5, is almost a meta commentary on horror from a person like your perspective, where you're kind of you're past it because you're like, I know what this is.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, but I think at some point, if you watched it, you if nothing else, you get some giggles out of it, the way you said horror stuff normally does for you. You're like, oh my god, you're like, I would say the same thing to this, like this thing like that they end up saying. So
okay.
As far as Scream 6 goes, and really, this one's sort of tough to recommend to anybody who's not a longtime fan. I would say like, I gave it what I call a qualified 4 out of 5, because I don't think it would be a 4 to somebody who just walked in off the street. I think somebody who's watched 1 through 5 would enjoy it a lot. It's a very legacy centric film. There's so many Easter eggs like that they've like visually plotted out through the whole movie. Like it's too numerous to count. But like, like, oh, hey, isn't that the t-shirt from number 2? Isn't that the knife from like they just littered it with stuff from before. So it's really, I felt it was really hard for a new person to break into it. The mystery surrounding who ends up being the killer was cool. I didn't really guess it. Maybe I'm not that smart.
Just curiosity, and this is something that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about. As far as the killer goes, to me it strikes me that there was multiple, or like at least the possibility of multiple. Okay,
so that's not a bad idea, in only because every Scream but number 3 had 2 killers. Every one of them were 2 killer films, except for number 3, which was just 1.
That might have been the one that I watched then, because I only remember there being 1.
That's a possibility. That was the one where it ended up being Sydney's brother that she didn't know she had.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like, horror in general is just hard. I mean, you either love it and like you want to see it, or you're like meh. So it's definitely it's a harder genre to convince people in a weird way. So are musicals though. You either want to sit there and sing songs, or you're just like, God help me, when is this gonna end? So
I am
I
very much
personally like
the
sing
second
songs.
person. Oh,
I want to sing songs.
I do not. Oh my God. Nothing
Um,
nothing drives me more bonkers than like you have a TV show that you really like, and like it doesn't
there's a
start off
musical
as
episode.
there's always one musical episode and it drives me bonkers.
Yeah. We had one on the Flash. I mean, you know, the superheroes do it too. Oh man.
I just
So-
I hate
It's okay.
music. Stress me out.
So we've learned that there's a genre worse than horror for you.
Oh yes, the theater.
Theater of the mind. What happens if you know, not naming names here, but you get into a relationship and the person that you're with wants to go to a musical or a theater? What are you gonna do? Blow your brains out? Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
Well, the answer to that is um
Don't answer that.
if I'm thinking of the person that you're thinking of, or heavily alluding to at least, I actually don't know if she likes musicals, so I'm gonna have to find that out.
Yeah, and then find out real quick how far we're going here.
Well, let me tell you something. When a person's worthwhile, you put up with them for all of their goodness and their flaws, and musicals are a flaw.
No, we put up with that's where you can end that sentence.
Yes, but yes.
So, like I said, this was kind of a short one because we only had the two films. So, is there anything film-wise that you're looking forward to? Any movies that are upcoming that you want to see? I've got one earmarked with your name on it, but I want to hear what you're thinking.
So on a very, very serious note, I have no idea what movies are coming out at all.
That's okay. That's okay. And see, this is another reason why we do this, because a lot of the times I want to get the reactions and the like honest you know, information from people. So like half the time people don't know what's coming out. So like when I say, hey, here's the trailers for these movies, there have been several of the guests that are like, wow, I didn't even know this was a movie. So that's a thing. There's a movie coming out in 2 weeks that I would love if you or any of our friends want to go with me to see. At which point I can't ask any of you to be on that week because you'll have seen it with me. But Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves comes out in 2 weeks.
Okay. I haven't been super keen on the D&D scene lately. You helped rekindle that a little bit, so thank you. I did have my eye on it for a little while, and then it kind of dropped off my radar. So yeah, I if I have the time, you let me know when it comes out, and I'll check my schedule.
As far as movies coming out in general, though, just to hit the bullet points for what's off the top of my head, what do we got? We got Mario in early April. We've got
see that.
Yeah, we got Guardians in early May. We've got the Flash in June. Or am I missing anything? I think the Captain Marvel 2, which is in the fall, Aquaman 2 is in the fall. You know, there's always cool stuff here and there. But yeah, D&D is I would say the next big thing. So
trying to think. Oh, so did you ever see the BBC show Sherlock?
Was it the one with Benedict?
Yes.
I did not. But there are comics for it. So I've had the comics pass through the shop because like I could tell that was his likeness on them. Or sometimes there were photo covers, so I was like, oh, okay, Benedict Cumberbatch. But no, I've never watched the show.
Okay. So I tend to gravitate more towards the mystery and like detective style stuff.
Yep.
True Detective season 1, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Nice. True Detective, you say?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was any good mystery things I've seen in the recent memory. There was a hard-boiled 1940s style detective movie that came out a few weeks ago, which I do know for a fact is already on streaming because I've seen it listed on Vudu again. Marlowe is what it's called, and it's a Liam Neeson playing like a hard-boiled like 40s noir detective.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was cool. So you had it's a whodunit. So somebody's missing and you're trying to figure out like what happened and everything. And there's lots of players, so you don't, you're trying to like keep up and see, can I solve the mystery before the mystery is revealed to me type deal. But that was cool. I don't know if it's free streaming anywhere, but it's definitely available on the like on demand streaming. So
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Marlowe. Yeah.
yeah. So we had a friend of mine who's a professor at a college in the valley. He did not want it named, so I'm not naming it. But
Respect.
he's a big detective fan, and the week I had him on, we talked about that. So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and I also am sort of adding this to some of the episodes too. I mean, well, to all of them going forward at least. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Anything you'd like to share? Any anything you want anybody to know who's seeing this?
In terms of
Whatever. If you're working on anything, if you just went to some great tasty place somewhere and you're like, hey, go there, it could be anything. You feel on the spot, I know.
Well, I mean, like I have a few things. So if anybody knows any place looking for voice actors, I have things to add to my resume now. Yeah, boy has worked on a couple of minor projects.
I like minor projects.
Yeah.
Anything worth watching out for?
So I was give me 1 second. I don't know if this is going to disconnect my video or not. It shouldn't. No, it didn't. Cool. I just need to double check and make sure because I signed an NDA and I don't know if I can. Let me just check the message.
Worst case scenario, if you get something in the future, like the information is allowed to be disseminated, I can always share in a future episode too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the director asked me to keep it on the lowdown right now. But
okay. That's okay.
I'll leave it at
yeah, go ahead.
Because he did say I could say this much. I am part of a Titanfall fan film, and it's a multi-part series going to be releasing on YouTube.
Anybody I know?
There's one other person you had him on last week.
Okay, I was thinking more like, do I know the person that's making it? But
oh no. I mean,
okay.
Unless you know anybody from Texas.
My dad?
I don't think your dad's in his 30s or 40s. Big question mark. I could be wrong in this.
No. Nope. Probably 60s. I mean, he might look good for 60. I don't know.
I mean, definitely sounds like younger. So I don't think it's your dad. But yeah, no. So I've got that. I have another Titanfall project that I'm going to be working on hopefully soon. I don't know when that's going to drop. And then maybe I will be working on a Destiny project as well, but I'm not entirely positive if that's going to go through. So we'll see. But
all right, well, you guys heard it here first. If you see Chris Gooding's name attached to anything Titanfall related, that's what he was talking about. So,
yep.
Chris, I appreciate you being on this week on Movies and Minutes. And my shameless plug time. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I've got a couple of weeks worth of gift certificates that I still haven't given away because nobody seems to be able to do all the things. I get likes, I get comments, I get subscriptions, but never from all the same people. So I give away a $25 gift certificate once a week prior to filming the next episode. I check to see if anybody's met all those conditions on the previous week's episode and haven't gotten there yet. So, but whenever we do, I've got movie gift certificates to give away, guys. So I will catch you guys next time. And thank you again, Chris.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Nabil.
Bye bye.
See you later.